Facebook Instant Experiences, previously known as Canvas ads, are kind of an intermediate step between your Facebook or Instagram ad unit on a mobile device and your landing page. When somebody clicks on your ad, this is a completely immersive experience where it operates just like a landing page, but it's supported by Facebook, and it helps you add in some additional images, text, some new links to try and get users a bit more familiar with your business before they come to your site. There are some business types that it might make sense for and others where it doesn't. So today we're going to talk through the differences between if it's right for you and if it's not, and how you can set up and customize Facebook Instant Experiences in your account. Before we hop into the Facebook ads interface, I do want to show you a couple examples of what an instant experience can look like. Unfortunately, I cannot find examples from my own Facebook or Instagram newsfeed because they're just hard to come by and it's going to be hard to show you what they look like. So instead, I just want to let a couple of these examples from Facebook play in the help section or the Facebook for Business section and show you kind of what they look like. So this first instant storefront one, if I just play the video here, you can see that people can see a number of different Adidas products in the Facebook feed. When they click on it, this experience is the instant experience. This is not the adidas.com website because there's still the button down at the bottom, but then there's also the option to go through any of these other products. You can click on them and it'll then take you to adidas.com. So as you can see, it's a little bit of a middle step between a Facebook ad and a landing page. This instant experience is kind of in the middle there. This next one is relatively similar. It's called instant customer acquisition, where you're trying to sell things right away. So if we just play this ad for Dollar Shave Club, you can see the different razors. When people click on it, now this is a different view of what an instant experience looks like. It's got a carousel in here, just a little different view of what it could look like. And then there are some other options that you also have available. So if we want to use a story, something like that, if you have videos available, you can create an instant storytelling type of instant experience, and it'll have different engagement options within each of these. So what we're going to do now is hop into the Facebook ads interface, and I'll show you how you can create an instant experience from a template and create one from scratch to be able to advertise exactly how you want. For this video, I'm going to run through how to add an instant experience to an ad that I already have created that's already running in this account, but you can add these when you are creating something new from scratch. They're going to show up in this area just under ad format, either single image, carousel, collection, whatever you've got. All you have to do is check this box to say add instant experience. Now, since this is an ad that has already been running and it's an account that doesn't have instant experiences already built, it's throwing up this warning saying that we need to add an instant experience, which totally makes sense. So the first thing you can do is come down here, and although this account doesn't have any, you can search for an existing instant experience. So once we have these built, they will be saved to where you can use them on a number of different ads. You would just click this drop down and choose which one you want based on the naming convention you've given it. But since this is a brand new one, we're going to go ahead and select choose a template. Here there are 3 preset options and 1 custom. We can see customer acquisition, storytelling, and sell products without a catalog. Those are all going to be preset templates, and I'll run you through what each one of those looks like here in just a second. And then on top of that, we also have the ability to build a custom instant experience completely from scratch to be exactly what we want it to be. Before we do a custom instant experience, I want to run you through each of these different templates just to show you what they look like, what the builder looks like, and give some ideas about what you could do with these instant experiences. So let's hop into customer acquisition as the first one. Here we can get a little bit of a taste of what the builder is going to look like. It's going to be relatively similar to a lot of other things in the Facebook ads platform. The different areas over here on the left are going to be everything that you can customize, and then on the right, it's going to be for the preview that will pop up based on the information that you have in place. One thing to note for the course of this run through, since I'm doing this in an account that is already running ads, and this is an existing ad, we are targeting only Instagram. So there's only an Instagram preview that's up here, but you would be able to also see your Facebook preview if you need to, and change any of the different presets to make sure that you're looking at all of the different previews available so you can see what your ad's going to look like on each of the different platforms. So really quick, I just want to run through how each of the builder portions on the left are corresponding to the pieces on the right. It's relatively self-explanatory, but just to give you kind of a visual understanding. This first section here is going to be for the image. There's no destination URL, but you can tell that there is the option to put one. So this is going to be the image that populates up here, and you can see the smaller version over here on the left. Next, we have a couple of different text fields as well as a button, and you can see that those are then highlighted in their own section. So we've got text, and then a button, and those correspond directly to those. So this is effectively what they're going to look like. We can then scroll down a little bit, and there's a different type of format here, which is a carousel. So on these, in this builder, I can only really click on these different buttons, but effectively it runs just like a carousel. So I'm currently clicking on the circles down at the bottom, but in a user experience, you'll be able to swipe left and right on the images to scroll through and find different images throughout the carousel. You can then see that there's a destination URL, which again is optional, and then you can build those images over here off on the left, just in the same way you would a normal carousel ad on the Facebook network. We then close out with some text, another button that shows up down here at the bottom, and that's a basic run through of what the builder is going to look like and what this customer acquisition template looks like as well. Now let's hop into the second template that they have available. This instant experience template is called storytelling, and it's really just called storytelling because they've put a little bit of different information in here. They started off with a video. It's not too terribly much different. You can see that they've got a video at the top. There's a text field here, and then they've got an image. There's another carousel available, and then some text, yet another image, and then a button down at the bottom. Lastly, this is the template to sell your products without a catalog, which is an important distinction. And I want to scroll down to the portion of it that is specific to that. You can see there's an image, text, all that stuff. But the bigger thing we want to look at is this product list down here. And you can see that it is represented as a carousel. Each has its own product headline, the product description, which in this case is the price. And if I scroll down a little bit more over here, you can see that. And then there's the destination URL. Each of these different cards has a different product on it. The only thing that's interesting about this specific setup is that there is a destination URL that's all the same. Ideally, you would want to send users to individual landing pages that are associated with each of these different products. So you'd want to send people on the sunglasses card to the sunglasses page, and so on and so forth for each of the other products that are available. But there is a way that we can customize this a little bit more. Ideally, you do have a product catalog. So what I want to do now is run through the setup of how to build one of these from scratch, so you know all of the different customization pieces that you can set up and all of the different components that can go into an instant experience. So this is what the empty instant experience builder looks like. There's not a lot going on. There's no preview because there's nothing already added in here. So there are a couple ways that we can make some changes. We can either add components using this button up here at the top or down here. The only other thing you can really do is change the settings. And there are a couple different things you can do here. You can change the theme, whether you want it to be light, dark, or change it just to a custom color. If I change it to dark, you'll notice that over here off to the right, everything turned into a much darker color, if you will. Any of the custom colors will also show up in the same way. So if you want to have something that is kind of a darker theme or a custom color theme, you can do that. But for sake of example, I'm just going to continue using the light theme for this. There's also some swipe to open link optimizations that you can make here. Currently, mine is only targeting Instagram, so this is limited, but you can change this based on how you want users to engage with your ad and how you want them to be able to open specific links in the instant experience. So now let's close this out and start adding actual components to the instant experience. There are a handful of different pieces here, and I'm gonna go what feels like out of order, but I promise there's a reason for it. The other caveat I will say to this is I am by no means trying to build a pretty instant experience for the sake of this video. It will be ugly. I'll probably leave a lot of it blank. I'm sorry that it'll look gross once I'm done with it, but hopefully you at least understand the functionality that's gonna go into it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is choose a header because that goes up at the top of an instant experience. So let's add that in place. Now our editor has changed a little bit. We can see this image up here at the top. We can also see this image over here. The first thing to note is that this is only going to be a pretty small portion of the instant experience. And you kind of want it to be that way because you only really want this header to stick up here at the top. All of your users can see the different information that's in the instant experience. So right now I don't have a logo file to upload, but you can also add text to this to have it be customized. Keep in mind that you would want to have a logo here if possible. If you have a logo that fits within the 882 x 66 pixel range, or you can customize text. And let's see what that looks like. Now we can see that the headline example is sticking up there at the top. You can change the text color, the background color, just like you would any other portion of the Facebook interface. So now let's add a second component that'll also highlight a little bit more how this header image portion will stick up at the top of the instant experience. So let's hop into add component. And now I'm going to add a photo to the piece. Overall, this is just like adding a photo to any of your other Facebook ads individually. You get to upload your image that you have available. You can then choose what destination you want to send them to, whether it's a website, something in your app store, or portion of the instant experience. You can customize where they end up going. You can also then change the layout, and this is a little bit interesting. You can either fit it to the width so that people can then click on the link and go to one of those destinations. You can fit it to width, but you can have it tap to expand, so when people click on it, the image actually just gets bigger. Or you can do fit to height, where people can kind of tilt to pan through the portions of the image that are available. More often than not, you probably just want to do the fit to width and linkable option, which means that your image is clickable and somebody can go to a link once they click on it. If you only want the image to just be a static portion of the instant experience and not send any users to a landing page, just leave this portion blank. Rather than adding another component, I can just show you what the video component would look like by clicking this little radio dial. They're all in the same area, just in the media section of a Facebook ad. You can either change the image or video. So here, just like any other portion, you can upload a video from your media library. It'll then populate over here, but you'll notice that you cannot make a video clickable. So keep that in mind if you want somebody to stay in your instant experience, or if you want that visual to be clickable so somebody can go out to your website from it. Okay, now let's add a new component. And you can see here that I kind of combined the photo and video into one, so we're not going to do those same things. But let's go ahead and add a carousel in here. Again, this should feel pretty familiar from regular Facebook ads. You can set up a carousel with a number of different cards. You can upload the image for each of the cards and then make a destination URL for each of them to make sure that it's specific to where you want to send people. Now that we have a couple of components off here to the right, I do want to show you how this headline up here at the top will stay in place when you scroll. It'll just be like a typical sticky header on top of a website, and that's why there's only one available for each instant experience, because it's always going to be available up the top. So this is why it's perfect for a logo or a very simple message. Even your brand name can possibly go up here. It probably shouldn't be anything that's too specific based on your business and depending on all the different ways people can engage with your business in this instant experience. Okay, let's keep going through the components so we can get through each of these. Next, I want to add a text block into this. In the previous examples through the templates that were already in place, we really only got to see that you could customize the text, and it didn't really give you a lot of other options. But if you build an instant experience from scratch, you get to pick not only the font, there are only a handful, but you still get to pick. It's kind of nice. You can also change the size of that font. You can go up to a 60-point font and it gets really big. So if you want to do that, you can do that. You can then change the color of the text itself, the background color if you want it to be something different than white or the dark or light theme that you have in place. You can also then make certain text bold, italicized, underline. You can choose where it's aligned, whether it's left, center, or right. And then you can choose the custom spacing that you want available as well. So it almost feels more like a Word document than it does anything else. But there's a lot that you can customize to make sure that the text is representing your brand and your aesthetics as much as it possibly can within this instant experience. Okay, now let's add a component that I alluded to earlier, and that's this product set. And this is only going to be useful if you have a catalog of products available in your Facebook ads account. Okay, so I've oriented this a little bit so you can see my header, you can see my text from this block, and now you can see the product set. And this is effectively what it's going to look like. You'll remember that some of the Adidas instant experience looked like this, where each of these different blocks, it's going to be its own product with its own headline and price associated with it. This is where you can start to utilize different product sets that are available in your Facebook ads account. So think about all the different products you have available to sell from your company. How can you create certain sets of those products to make a compelling product set for instant experiences? Maybe you want to have your top selling products. Maybe you want to focus only on one specific category because of how you're targeting somebody. Whatever it is, just make sure that they all kind of go together in such a way that makes sense and you don't feel like you're trying to sell somebody children's shoes while also trying to sell them new floor mats for their car. Something like that. That's just too wide of a range. I want to be a little bit more specific here. For this account, I do already have a product set put together. You can choose either from the entire catalog that you want, or you can choose the individual product set. In this instance, we have one that's just called chairs because I wanted to use chairs as an example. So here, all of the chairs are going to show up. The next thing you can do is customize how many products will show up. There are 598 in this product set, and right now it's defaulting to display up to 50. Quite frankly, that is just too many. People aren't going to scroll through 50 different chairs. If you haven't convinced them to come to your website and shop after seeing a smaller number than that, if it takes 50, you're probably not targeting the right person in the first place. I'm going to lower this down to 10, and now you can see that the example refreshed over here on the right, and everything is showing only 10 chairs in this instant experience. There are only going to be 10 available, and then we pop back up to our text example that's up at the top. So think about what type of experience you want somebody to have, how many products do you want them to see, and what product categories or what groups of products do you want them to see so that they can have the best experience in this instant experience. The last thing we can do is open up the advanced options. And again, just like setting up Facebook ads themselves, you can customize what text is available here. And this is going to pull dynamically from your product catalog. And in each, the headline and the description, you can add catalog fields, whether it's the product name, the brand, description, price, whatever you want it to be, so you can customize the information that's showing up below each of the products to make it as useful as possible to bring people to your site. Now, the last component I want to look at, I saved this for last because there is a certain setting in here that I wanted to show you, and that's going to be the button component. So let's add one of these. And as you can see, this is pretty similar to all the other builders. We do have the ability to change the font. We can change the font size, and then there are a couple of different options here. You can change the text color within the button. You can make it bold, italicized, underlined. Then you have to set a destination URL because this is a call to action button. You are trying to send somebody somewhere else other than this instant experience. So again, just like the other pieces, you can do website, app store, or instant experience here, but set your destination URL to something that makes sense for this entire instant experience builder, unless you have it right below some text that calls out things specifically. Make sure that whatever you use as the text and the landing page in this button corresponds with where it is within your instant experience. You can add multiple different buttons, so just make sure that it ties back accordingly. You can then make a button style if you want it to be outline or fill, which means it's going to completely fill it in. You can then change the button color, the background color for the section that the button is in to make it stand out. Right now that looks a little ugly, so I'm going to go back to outline. But you can see there are a lot of different ways that you can customize the buttons that you have on here. Now by default, you can see that when I scroll up, the button goes away, but the header still stays up here. And the reason I saved the button for last is because you can choose to check this box that says fix button to the bottom of the view. And when you do that, the image will refresh a little bit. But then as you scroll up, you'll see that just the way the header stays, the button stays in the same spot. So depending on how you're crafting this instant experience, you may want to always have this sticky call to action button at the bottom so that people can go to your website at any point. Now to wrap up this video, I want to talk about a couple of instances where it might make sense for you to use instant experiences and some where it might not. Instant experiences are designed to keep a number of usability factors in mind, and this really helps you decide if it's a good use case for you. First of all, they are completely mobile optimized. So if your website is not or is not as mobile friendly as you might like it to be, this could be a good option to help nurture users a little bit more before they get to your website in a way that's going to feel a little bit more intuitive. It's already going to feel a little bit more like Facebook anyway, so it can help them feel a little bit more comfortable before making the jump to your website, but still getting to engage with your company in whatever way you want them to. The second thing that also has to do a lot with mobile is that they are fast loading. Almost no matter whether you're on Wi-Fi or you're pulling data from the network, things take a long time to load on mobile, and these instant experiences don't. You can really help people who are on the go, doing things quickly, just perusing and happy to take a look if things are quick. These instant experiences will load up to 15 times faster, according to Facebook's data, than landing pages on your typical website. So this fast loading feature is really helpful. As I alluded to earlier, they're also highly customizable. Depending on what your web developer experience is like, what platform your website is built on, and a number of other factors, it can be really hard to create a landing page that you feel is really impactful, especially on a mobile device, without having to spend a ton of time to do it, especially if you don't have a lot of those pages already available. available. And Instant Experience is a great way to almost use it as like a landing page builder. Build exactly what you want in a quick mobile experience, and then customize the different portions of your website. If somebody clicks a certain button, if they click on a certain photo, it'll take them to a very specific portion of your website so that these instant experiences can almost be a bypass for the lackluster performance, unfortunately, that you might have on your website. So it makes the user experience a little bit easier, and then you can send the user directly where they want to go based on how they engage with the instant experience without having to navigate your website. And the last thing is still somewhat of the highly customizable area, but it's easy to engage with a lot of different pieces of multimedia. It's not always easy to make video and photos and carousels look nice on your website, and they take a long time to load. So using those in instant experiences can really get your brand aesthetic and your offerings conveyed to the user in a really quick manner, and also have them just look really good. You're not locked into all of the different limitations that come with your website code, the formatting, the template you're using on WordPress. You can make it be exactly what you want it to be, start to finish. Thanks for watching our video. If you thought it was useful, give us a thumbs up below.
We release a new video at least once a week, so if you want to get notified of when a new one comes out, be sure to subscribe to the Paid Media Pros channel.